Hi, it's Nick on the 20th of May. Hope all is good with you. Two more videos on this theme of showing up. Today I'm touching on the idea of showing up with our vulnerability. Now, I don't know about you, but you know, I've personally tried to have two strategies, and I see this in a lot of people. So number one strategy is to try and make myself bulletproof so that if and when I do decide to show up, I'm not going to get hurt or upset or feel bad. Or secondly, then I think, okay, well, I'll just wait a bit until I've built up my confidence, until I feel a bit more adequate and a bit more capable, then I'll show up. So there have been two of my strategies, trying to be bulletproof or procrastinating, basically. And you know what? Neither of them have particularly fulfilled me. And what I've realized is that there isn't going to be that day when we feel totally ready. So the invitation, I think, for each of us is to show up with our vulnerability. That doesn't mean that other people know that we're feeling vulnerable necessarily, but we know we're feeling vulnerable. We know how courageous we're being to show up because we don't feel ready, because we feel afraid. Internally, we become more of our own champion. And, you know, I think I held a belief and a kind of myth that I've only in the last really couple of years begun to dispel more fully. And that myth was, well, when I'm really grown up, then I won't have to feel this vulnerability anymore. That being a grown up means being invulnerable, because there are so many, especially in the kind of political world, you know, role models of people who say, well, you know, just do as I say and you won't have to feel vulnerability, I'll take care of everything for you. I think there's a myth that says, you know, when we're grown up, we won't feel vulnerable anymore. And I think what I've realized is that even grown-ups feel vulnerable. You know, even when we're grown up, we feel vulnerable. That's part of the territory. It's nothing wrong with us. And what brought this home for me a couple of years ago was a conversation I was having, and you can listen to the conversation on my blog with my friend who has been, well, he's a TV producer and has been the producer behind all 6 series of Downton Abbey. And I remember having this conversation with her and her saying, you know, I realise that whenever anybody wants to put their creativity out in the world, she said, they're going to feel vulnerable. There's a fragility and a fear that goes with showing up and sharing ourselves with the world. She said that's inevitable. It's going to happen. So my job as producer is to realise that is going to happen and then work as best I can to create an atmosphere and a workplace where people can feel safe and their vulnerabilities are handled to some extent, and then they can give their best performance. And for me, that was one of those pivotal moments where I realised, you know, even to be some of the best in the world at what you do means you're still going to feel vulnerable. You know, being a grown-up is learning how to handle our vulnerability. So that's today's thought, is how can we learn to handle our vulnerability, not wait for us not to have vulnerability or to try and defend against it and be bulletproof. They ain't going to work. So that's today's invitation. How can you show up even when you know you're feeling vulnerable? Because when you do, you'll soon get to the other side of it. But it's going across that threshold of going, you know what, I'm really afraid and I'm going to show up anyway. So I hope that's been helpful. God bless. Have a good day. Bye.